Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another weekly webinar. I'm going over the markets this week, and it looks like the rallies are back in town. So it's taken a little bit of time. We had some selling off pressure, and we should see some continued rallies this week, I think, into some of the levels that need to be back tested before we decide which way the market's really going. Right? We sold off the highs over the last, let's call it, month or so, right? 2 months, drop-based drop over here on the monthly chart, and drop-based drop over here on the weekly chart. And now we're going to back test and decide if we're going to create a lower high, in which case we will open up new levels below us, turning over a trend on some of the higher time frames, or are we just going to rally up, make a higher low, and then continue to all-time territory, right? So something like this. Which way are we going? In either scenario, the rally has to start from here, and we run up into supply zone and figure out what happens next. So for the coming week, we should be expecting the equity markets to continue to rally. We are looking for at least 2,600, potentially 2,650. A retest of the 50 moving average on the daily chart, I think, is what we're probably aiming for this week. You can see there's a lot of room to the upside over here. We've rallied up a little base area and then a push up. We should be getting to at least the 2,600, and more likely, again, I think 2,650 is probably the target for this coming week. I want to show you what we're looking at some of the other time frames. A lot of air up here. You can see that we've already cleared this area. Through that already, you can see that. And there's really nothing back here. This is just all air, wick, and then a shot right to 2,600. There's both. So any small little pullback on a smaller time frame will get us into a long, aiming for first target 2,600, and then we probably get a small little pushback a little bit, and then I think later in the week, the 2,650 level up here. Okay, that's what we're looking for. So let's see how we can join that trade. I'd like to get long on the equities, at least on the ES up here. And there's a couple of decent levels. Okay, so it looks like on the 60 chart, let's open this up. Okay, and you can see over here, even on the 60, that this is all air. Okay, all this is empty. There's nothing here. We're already up into the air. We should be getting a rally all the way back up through here. So there's a decent looking entry for a little back test over here. We've already cleared all these highs, right? So getting back into this little zone under here as a back test is decent. I'll show it to you. There's actually, on the 15, there's two zones. There's one here and one here, right? And we can look at for a chance to join the longs. There we go. So around 2508, this one's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit messier. Exactly how to lay it out over here, I was looking at basically this engulfing wick over here. If you're asking about the zone, it's this wick over here, and then the leg in over here. So this one's a little bit bigger. It looks like around 2495. I really don't want to see it get under here, but for stop purposes, I mean, I guess we could pick up. Yeah, tough call. Well, this is an area I wouldn't buy as a limit yet, just because I'm not sure of the stop over here. I mean, down here is fine. So anything, in between this area, inside here, for a long, that's no problem at all. But in this upper area up here, is more of make sure that it turns around on a small time frame before we go get into that. But this is the spot, somewhere between 95 and 80, or if this level holds, which I think it should, the 50 average should be inside this zone by the time we get there. We're looking for a chance into the longs over here. Okay, so long in the 25, let's call it 2508-ish, and target of 2600, and then 2650. So nice strong rally this week, maybe 100 points for the ES. Cool. So moving over to the NASDAQ, again we're in rally mode over here, and very nice strong close to this continuation on the hammer bottom down there. You could see the rally base engulfing strong rally from Friday. And again, we're in the air over here. Look back over here, same story. The target for the NASI looks to be 6,800 for this week, I would say. We're looking at first, around 6,700 up here, and then a small pullback. I think 6,800 is the target for this weekly move on the Nasdaq. It's going to be inside the supply zone on the weekly chart up here, and then we'll have a decision to make. For next week, is it going to continue break the zone or pull back, make new lows? That we don't know. But this week is fairly clear that we should be rallying going into the next supply zone up on top of us, right? Take a look over here on the 60 chart. You'll see what I'm looking at. So a lot of air back here, so we should be right through there. That's already 6,600. And then, it's not really the greatest looking zone. It's a small little wick against the wall up there. This is all a bunch of crap. We'll get more resistance at 6,700 and then a back test. And then I think we end up here inside this zone up here at the end of the week. So really nice, strong rally coming from NASDAQ. Again, we want to find any pullbacks into demand. Okay, so let's go find some spots that we'll be able to trade coming up. Looks like two decent ones here on 15 zone. Right over here, we got some nice looking demand. Pull back into this level early on Monday would be a great entry, and if we get this far, I think that's a gift, into the longs over here. But one of those two is going to give us an entry for a long signal into 67 and then 6,800 for the NASDAQ. So strong 400-point rally coming this week. So take a look at crude. So it looks like crude is also joining the party in rally mood over here, and we should see continued rallies this week. After an extensive sell-off, we're finally doing a little hold at the bottom down here, rallying, and we should be at 50, looks like 55, 54.50 on the weekly chart, but that is a little bit much. I don't think we're going to get that far this week. Looking more like around, I would say, 50 or so. We'll take a look on the level that I've noticed on the smaller time frames. But yeah, another dollar or so up, I think we're looking at over here. Let's take a look here. The level I was looking at is over here. There we go. Yeah, so 50.50. It's about $2 actually for where we are currently, so decent move. Back testing to this real first level of supply back here. And you can see the little bottom. We've got room to get up into that. And there should be some resistance over here. You see all these prior lows that were sitting over there. We broke down, and we get into that, and then we should get a back test and then figure out if we're going to hold these lower levels and try to rally up some more after that. But 50.50 seems to be the target, which means we want to buy pullbacks into demand up into 50.50. Okay, so let's go find some entry points. So you can see the strength that was on the weekly chart over here. We were sideways for a long time, a bunch of days, and then finally breaking out on Friday. Out of this little wedge over here, we had this whole extended sideways action, finally getting through, creating demand. Yeah, so it looks like, I'm going to adjust my target for the week. It's slightly above 50.50. Look at this doji over here. Goes up to like close to 51.80, 50, looks like 50.80 or something like that. Yeah, right over here. So that's going to be the target for the week, this zone. Okay, so any pullbacks into demand, looks like there is a level over here. Let's clean this up a little bit. Besides the one that's here, there's actually one over here. So I'm going to take the wedge off and let's put the zone on there so we can see where it is. I broke out of this anyway, so let's get this out of here. And the zone over here looks to be right here. So we're looking about 40, what is that, 7? Yeah, 47. blow it up a little bit. Okay, so we're looking into this area for a potential chance. The longs, obviously, we've already hit this one, so unless it makes new highs, we wouldn't be taking that again. This is the next level down. It's basically this red doji inside over here. The level comes into around 46.40 to 46.80-ish. And that would be a decent entry long over here, aiming for 50, what I just talked about, 50.80. So it's about $2 upside coming this week for crude. Nice. So moving on to gold, and gold has another strong week. It didn't close quite as high as the weekly highs, but definitely a continuation of the move up over here on the weekly chart. You can see we've turned around on the monthly chart. We're starting to rally back up again. We did finally touch 1,300 after months of being below 1,300. We tagged it on Friday. Immediately we get a back test, and you could see where the sell-off landed. I'll show you in a second. But we're inside of this little rising wedge on the daily chart. The rally has not been very strong, but it's been very consistent. Every day up a little bit, up a little bit. We have 1 or 2 big days, but mostly just up, pause, up, pause, up, pause. Very nothing major explosive moves, and that's just showing that the people are just buying into the market, and they're not so concerned about zones and things like that. It just keeps on churning its way up higher, and then you can see when we get finally this big sell-off over here, right after we touch the 1,300 number. Immediately now, okay, let's go back and test and see where this thing gets to, right? And looks like the 50 average Bollinger Bands on the 240 is where the test came in. It was a zone on a smaller time frame. I'll show it to you. Actually, it was the one that I tweeted out on Friday for an entry to the long side, based on this chart over here. That we're just waiting for this to hold on here and show that the pullback is done. We've tested 1,300. We're able to pull back a little bit. Of course, we wipe out all the garbage. There's no demand in there, and then we pull back to like the prior highs, and now we start to rally again. So we should see continued strength. The only thing is that on the way down, we created some like 1650 supply that needs to be dealt with before we can continue. I'll show you. Looking at over here, we've got this supply zone over here, which is going to be an issue. So what we want to, we want to make sure that this is gone before we really start to swing longs. Okay, so at this point, if we're not in the long from down over here from Friday, we want this level out of the way. We should see something like this. So once it gets pushed down and we come back, there should be a demand zone over here, right? Because we're looking at a rally base rally. Then we take this as an entry, and then we aim for the top. And the next level up is like 1320, I think it was on the daily chart. Let's go take a look at that. Pretty sure that's what's the level. Maybe a little bit less. Let's take a look. Let's open up the daily. I think we had it at like 13. Yeah. So yeah, around 1320. It's between 12 and 20. You can see it's this wicked doji with the gap area inside here, right above all these wicks. That's the next supply zone. So somewhere in that's called 1315 or so. So long down over here is a pretty big trade. Okay. Let's go look at the zones on the 15 there. So this is the supply that's in our face currently. Okay. And we got to deal with this thing, right? And then we have to deal with this thing. So the long is, it's the direction we want, but we just don't want it yet. You see, there's some demand over here, this crazy looking dragonfly doji thing over here. But it's pretty big, right? It's like $4. So I would like to actually see these zones clear before I take a long. I want to see where the entry develops. Can I take shorts over here? Well, I don't think the 60's in a downtrend just yet. I think it's still up. So I don't really want the shorts. The shorts are short-term trade. Yeah, the 60's definitely still an uptrade. This is just one move off the top. So we want to just make sure we clear these supply zones in front of our face, and then pull back into demand, because the one that's right above us is definitely an issue. And then we got this other one. So I would actually wait for this to clear, and then we'll look for a long, correct? This level right over here, this one, once that's out of our way, we should have some demand someplace over here. because we have to fight through this zone, which should create demand. Right? And that's where we look for the entry once that happens. So we want to be long. The target's around 13, let's call it 15, but I don't have an entry for this trade just yet. I gotta wait for it to develop. Okay, let's move on. Take a look at what happened with the dollar this week. So we have another down week for the dollar. Right? It's a doji, and we're sitting on top of this, 200 moving average. So we've been sitting on top of for, I don't know, 7, 8 weeks. Something like that. Excuse me. Playing ping pong over here on the daily charts, back and forth between the zones. You can see that, and big moves. I mean, these are not small moves. Right? Huge, up, down, up, down, up, down. Can't figure out direction. We're just going sideways. The demand is holding, the supply is holding, and therefore that's the trade. The trade is just sideways for now. Buy the demand zone, sell the supply zone until we break out of this thing. Which way does it want to go? I think we're going to end up breaking up, but for now, until one of these zones gives way, there's just nothing other to do over here. Which sort of means, again, we're going to be sideways on a bunch of currencies. And then let's go take a look and see how they're laying out for us for this coming week. Okay, so let's take a look at the euro, and we get a red candle on the weekly chart, pretty much a doji, pair of twins, showing some weakness there this week. We are banging against these prior highs. We're trying to figure out direction. You can see the supply above and below. We're in the middle. So again, at this point, we probably could take two sides of this trade. We're buying the extremes and selling the extremes. On the weekly chart, I'm sorry, on the daily chart first, you can see the channel that we're trading inside of. This supply zone is really kicking ass. Every time we touch this thing, we get destroyed. So there's major supply down there. The demand is this gap that we have still under here. Okay, it's still there, that rollover gap that's still sitting on our chart, has not been filled. And I think we might fill it this week. It looks like on some of the smaller time frame charts, that's what's trying to set up. We have this big double top over here on the 240 chart. There's the middle. So we already got back to the origin of the move. Then we rallied up. If we make this other lower high over here, this thing, and this, we put that over here, that's going to fill the gap for us. It's going to get this push down, fill this gap, and then we'll probably start rallying again after that. If you look carefully at the 240 chart, you'll notice that we're banging for the last couple of days in between the 200 and the 50 moving average. They're separated, and we're playing ping pong. Boom, 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 boom over here. Okay? And again, this lower high, look at this exactly level. See the symmetry of this chart. Take a look. So what's missing really is this piece, this thing over here. Should come out over here. That's the end of the trade, gap fill, and then that's after that. It's anybody's guess what the hell's going to happen. But that's the trade I'm looking for. Okay? It's a short euro into the fill of the gap. Okay? And there's a beautiful level. I don't know if we're going to see it, but if we do, man, oh man. Take a look at the 60 chart. And this thing is just waiting to get smacked. Okay, if we touch this zone, that's the short. Yeah, the target is the fill of the gap, which is below us when we open up the chart. There it is. Okay. Too much. So, target's down here. Okay, so show up here. Target here. Beautiful. Okay. I don't know if we get there or not. If we just start collapsing out of here. Excuse me. If we just start collapsing out of this level over here, there's really not much underneath to stop us, so we're just going to fall right into the gap. So I'll have to wait and see how this opens up tonight. There's a 15 chart. Let's take a look at that. There's a lot of air underneath us. Looks like all day on Friday we were sitting against this zone. And now over here we hit it twice. And then this little demand zone over here, right? Look at the symmetry again. It's in the same location. It's so far holding price. We're making these lower highs. Like this, a little wedge going on over here. So if we break out to the upside, that should put us into the 60 zone that I'm talking about. So this thing, 15,200, and if we just break down, it's air. We can take a breakout entry into here and aim for the gap. Okay, so that's available. Okay, we'll see what happens right after this, and then underneath here, air. So that would be a breakout short. So short here or short over here. If we don't get up there, we break down. Target gap. Nice. That's one of the better trades. Other than the long equities goes fantastic for this week. All right, let's go see what else is happening around town. Okay. So on the Aussie dollar, we had a very interesting move this week, a major collapse overnight, and then immediate rejection. If you notice what it was actually the low from 2016 down here that we got into. This demand zone on the monthly chart, and immediately, wicked, explosive move, boom, 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 boom. But we're back right to the level that should produce a pullback. Okay? The middle of the Bollinger Bands on the daily. It's a drop-based drop supply zone. It's a really nice looking supply zone just about on every time frame. And there is nothing back here. This is a shot rocket off the lows. Look at this engulfing candle. Strong. But we should see a pullback into a demand zone before any continued rallies happen. This is a downtrend. This is the downtrend. Everything's in a downtrend. And we have an explosive move into supply. That's a recipe for a short. Okay? So I'm looking for this thing to start pulling back a little bit. I want to aim at least for 69.50. Until that 200-point drop on the Aussie dollar that we're looking for over here. Take a look at it. It's in supply in every time frame. And right over here, okay, this is just a bunch of garbage, not real demand. I look at it on the small time frame, it's nothing. There's nothing here. So the minute this thing starts turning over, this is the target. Okay, it's already starting to pause up here. Hasn't been able to rally, so we'll find an excuse to get short. Put the stop above the zone. Aim for 69.50 on the Aussie dollar. Looks pretty nice too. Good looking trade. Okay, moving on to the pounds. We have a doji on the weekly chart. We have some air above us. Notice the lows down here, like a little double tap. Look at this over here. You can see it. You can see it here. Right? Fill the gap. This one filled the gap already, not like the euro. So that's done. Are we going to do this back to 1300? It's potentially possible. I think we need to have a higher low first on some of the other time frames. This is a rally-based rally over here. I think we're into some decent supply. We should see some kind of pullback, then the move into 1300, which will probably come next week. I think this week is going to be a pullback first. Makes more sense of what's going on around the other currencies. Look over here, you can see the supply I'm talking about, and the demand zones that are underneath us for the chance to join the long into 1300. But for now, I think we have all this air that was created on this move up, and the trend was down, and it's just one move up over here, rally base, rally base, rally. I think we touched this. Yeah. This one. Pretty sure. I think even this one, and then we start to move up. This is again that explosive move off the bottom, like we saw in the Aussie dollar, Friday's price action. Let's take a look here. Let's come up with. So there's some demand under here. Yeah, I think that's the zone we need to touch. It's this 126 and change. It looks like old gap. So something like this, and then from over here, we get this big rally that'll give us a 1300 move. So short still for pounds down into this. Okay, that's the target for now. 12,650, 12,650. Let's take a look at the 60 chart one more time. Let's look at the trend. This whole bunch of sideways garbage, and then here we made the lower high, lower lows, and then we shot down to the bottom, and this is rally. Boom! What's this? Potentially a pivot. I could hear either way. It's a rally-based rally. All this air. I think we're pulling back, and I'd rather have the long down here. with all this air underneath me, even if it is an uptrend, I'm allowed to take this short over here. So that's the level. It makes more sense with what we're seeing across the other time frames and the other charts, other currencies. So pull back into this demand zone over here on the 15 will get me into a long, but for now I would stay short. That's the end of the line. Right in here, we should hold this thing. That'll probably give the euro that gap fill that I'm looking for. Pounds are stronger. They've already filled their gap and rallied out of there. So, the pound should get here. The euro fills its gap, and then we take off. All right, let's go look at Canadian. I also had a crazy move this week. Looking at the weekly chart on the Canadian, you see there's the reversal signal, right? That evening star candle. The rallies was really hard and fast and strong. It ends up right at the prior highs. What the doji level was, break away from there. So that's the test. Okay, take a look at our channel on the daily chart, right? Going back all the way to like October, and then we finally, boom, we just pierce one shot off the bottom. Look at the 240 shot, boom. Right, blasting through your supply and ending up in a level that is at the 200 moving average up there. It's pullback time. Okay, and this is a downtrend. This is one move, counter trend move every time frame. This is down. This is down. This is down. This is all one move off the bottom. The 60 actually turned up, but we're in 240 supply. So once this thing starts to show some weakness on the lower time frames, I think we're looking at a pullback into the 74. Into this level, and then we'll figure out what happens after that. And if we're able to create the higher low that we need, then we will consider, this is confirming the bottom, and then we're going to start rallying, but pullback has to happen first. So looking for this level that it's in currently, 240 supply zone with the 200 moving average to kick in some selling pressure. We're almost at 60 supply zone anyway. Up here, so it looks like it's really close. You see it's rally, big rally. This one is rally, base, rally. I take it back, it's not a uptrend, it's a downtrend actually. It's all one move off the bottom. There are no pivots in here. This is all rally, base, rally, base, rally, rally, rally. This is all buying pressure off the bottom. We're about to hit the supply. We're in the higher time frame supply, so the minute this thing starts turning over on the little time frames, you get a 5-minute, 15-minute lower highs, it's time to get short. Okay, so we haven't gotten it just yet, so there's no entry for a short yet. I don't want to be long either because we're in the higher time frame supply zone and we're in downtrend. So this trade is not a trade. There's nothing going on here yet. What we're looking for is a pullback into lower time frame demand that produces a lower high. So now I'm going to put another zone up here on the 15, right over here. I'm going to pull back into this thing and show me a lower high, and then I'm taking a short, but we're aiming for 74.4. There you go. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. Canadian. Next. Let's go look at the yen. All right, so the yen continuing the trend of crazy currency moves this week. Right off the lows down here in the weekly chart, continues starting back a couple of weeks back, and then we get rally base, and then a big monster rally hits the monthly supply zone. Okay, right into the supply zone, right into the supply zone, and then starts to react immediately, filling. We have a couple of gap openings in there. You can see that the gap is still partially opened, but we shoot up rocket ship into supply, and then immediately start rejecting the highs. Okay. And based on the fact that we're looking at a nice strong rally in the market, that's definitely going to put pressure on the yen, and we're going to fill that gap. So any lower highs after the gap fill is definitely in the short. Okay? At this point, you can see that we're channeling off channeling on a little wedge, with the gap underneath us as the support, and then this little channel down over here on the 60 chart. There's the supply touch of the supply, sells off, boom, boom, boom. So what we want to see really is like a rally into a smaller time frame, maybe a 15. There should be a level like over here someplace. We want this gap closed. We want to rally into that, create a lower high, and then we can start our shorts. Because the trend on the 60 is up on the yen. Okay, so We don't want to take the short just yet, but we do want the short because of what we're looking at on the higher time frames, right? And let's see where that is. There's the supply zone. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. There it is. Okay, so there's one actually a little closer than I thought. All right, if we fill this gap down here, and then we can take this short back over here. After that, there's another level. It's a little bit messier. Looks like this one. Oops. Looks like this one was touched. All right, wicked into right over here. Wicks against the wall. The leg in puts us over here. That's our zone. And supply. So we want to see the gap filled and then take the short. There will actually be another zone if we just sell off. If we rally from here into supply, we could take short here or here. But if we sell off first, down, and fill the gap, and then rally up, then there's going to be supply sitting right over here. That's the level that would be there. Okay, so it's not on the chart yet, but it will be. So if we just drop out of the bottom, the entry for the short is actually this doji, or like this. So that was already touched. This doji was already touched. There's the failed hammer. That's the entry. Right here, this candle. Okay, so if this breaks down out of the bottom, that's the short entry. This zone is going to be right over here. Cool. All right, so interesting trades, a lot of currency things going on. This is going to be a fun week. There's a lot of action this week. All right, let's go see what happened with nat gas. This thing's been ridiculous lately. Okay, so looking at that gas, obviously on a massive, massive explosive move and then a rejection of the highs, and a total manipulation move, ridiculous. Anyway, shoots up there and then reverses out, comes all the way back to where it started from, and now it's time for the bounce to come. Last week we had a gap down, we got 200 average right above us with this gap sitting over here. I'm fairly certain we're going to fill this gap. Potentially even on the open. Nat gas lost the gap on Sunday nights, but for now I want to say that the target's going to be somewhere at the gap fill here, and if we end up going through this gap, on tonight's open, then potentially even over here. We're looking for a back test at this point, and to see what happens over here. Do we create these lower highs, or are we going to make a higher low and then really aim back to the top of this thing? So for now, the rally is going to come, and where is it going to go? It depends on where we open tonight. But we're looking for a rally in nat gas. You can see on the 60 that we built a nice-looking bottom, right, over this past week, right? It's got some nice little symmetry going on over there with the little peaks on either side over here, the middle being over here. And there's the gap I'm talking about, and then potentially this one. So we're looking for a reason to get long once we get up into this gap and we get a higher low, something like this. That's what we'll aim for up here. So we don't have a real trade just yet. We'll have to wait and see how we open tonight. And once this gap is cleared and we create a higher low, maybe later in the week we have a nice long somewhere around 3,100 or so for the gap fill up here. 35, 36. So that's a quick look at that gas. There isn't really anything we can do in the current location that we're at. Okay, let's take a look on the 15. Anything there for us? Yeah, it's very choppy and messy. The supply is just above us right there. Gaps on top of us. Nothing doing over here. Next. Copper. Okay, so copper on the weekly chart comes back, tags the lows down here after this supply zone, pulls back, hits the low, and now the question becomes, can we hold the bottom? Take a look at the daily, you got this little double bottom. So far it's rallied up. We're going to find out really soon because the supply zone is right here, almost there. And if we're able to pull back and make a higher low, so then I'm saying we're going to explode out of this thing and get all the way back to here, minimum, right? All the way back to the top of this, at least. But if we don't make that higher low after this pullback that's coming out of this zone, we're going to break the bottom. Look over here what we're watching develop over here. Here's the head, there's the shoulder, there's the other shoulder. And so a breakdown out of this level opens up at least the lows down here of 2, potentially even new lows. You know what I mean? So this is a precarious situation over here for copper, and we'll find out really soon. So we must take shorts out of this level. Okay, once we get up here at the 26,800 and change, short. Okay, it's potentially even starting now. We'll look at the smaller time frame. It may not even get up into the zone and start selling off from here. There's one level of demand right at 26 right over here, and if that level gives way, we're talking about breaking down into 2. All right, so for now, the short up here into 26 for this week, and then we'll see what happens after that. If we don't end up getting up into the supply, we've already hit 60 supply, so that next level of, up above us, we may not see this thing up here. Right? We may not get there. So we're watching right now, trend is over here, down, this is a rally-based rally, and we're at the supply, so again, a lot of air under here, so a smaller time frame could give us an entry here for the short, even from now. And this is the level that has to hold, okay, this one. This level doesn't hold over here, then we're going to break the lows, and then we're talking about breaking down out of that monthly head and shoulders. That's going to cause a massive collapse in the price. So keep your eye on copper. I think there's going to be a really nice trade this week for copper. Okay. Short. We've already hit the supply. It hasn't really sold off much yet, so we'll have to watch it for this coming week. But we're looking for a short down to the 26 level, and then should we hold, we can take the longs. But if we don't hold, it's just free fall after that. Okay, cool. Let's look at soy. It's finally getting ready for us. Okay, so what we need to know about soy this week is that the crop report is Friday, this coming Friday, 12 noon. So if we're going to be in a trade, it better be with a lot of risk off by the time we get there. Okay, this is looking like it's finally ready to make the move I've been waiting for. We've gotten back to the supply zone over here again, this time with higher lows, and we should break through this time. All right, notice we're getting a little pair of bullish twins over here. We're looking for this back test of this 10 plus area. Okay, it's showing a lot of strength. There's a lot of demand underneath us. We're ready to go. There's actually another demand zone right over here, 896 and change on the daily, which I have on some of the small time frames. But for now, we're back into some resistance area. We should get a small pullback and a chance into longs. The level that we're looking at, I think I had it on the 60 or 15. Now, where is our long entry? We want to get into this thing. Yeah, so 906 is the number I'm looking for. I know we're at 922, but let's see, expecting a pullback a little bit out of this area. There isn't great demand over here. Let's look at the last part of the rally. It's fairly weak. I don't really see anything great over here. Then maybe over here we can actually consider this as a potential entry. Let's watch it like that all the time. Like 908-ish. Yeah, right about here. Let's call it 910. 910 to 908 at the 50 average in there. That's the first level of demand after all this. Plus, we're going to pull back over here, and we're going to buy longs. And patience for this one, because this is a swing trade, and Friday is the USD crop report, so we have plenty of time to force it, not to forceful, but to wait for this proper entry, because there's a huge move still starting. It's got a lot of room up there. Okay. So we want to look for something and pull back over here. It looks like 906 on the 240 chart is a great spot also. Okay, and we'll wait. We'll see how this one I'm going to tweet out when we find when the entry comes. We'll look for a nice looking swing trade over here. All right. Let's go into the bonds, which I tweeted out early in the week. that we had arrived into Wednesday, Thursday, I don't remember. This weekly supply zone over here. Okay? One move straight off the bottom in a downtrend into fresh weekly supply. Well, what do you think is going to happen? That's what's going to happen, and that's only the beginning of this. Okay? We should be seeing a fairly decent pullback for bonds. I think we're going to actually pull back and reach all the way down into this weekly level around 144. And then figure out what happens after that. So we've already pulled back into the 146 area. What we should see over here is a pullback, a rally into smaller time frame supply, a lower high, and then a breakdown into 144. Okay? So if you're already in this, you're going to have to sit through this part of the trade. It's going to go against you, but it's going to be an opportunity to add onto your trade when it turns over someplace over here. I'll show you the zone. If you're not in this short yet, that's going to be the entry for you. Okay? We get a very, very strong reversal engulfing on the daily, and it's time. Okay? Time for the pullback. If you're in the short, you should have your risk off already. And here we go. This is the zone we're talking about. Take a look. If you're in the trade already, great. This is going to be an add-on opportunity. There's going to be a rally. It's most probably going to come out of the zone that we're already in. And it should reach all the way over here. See this? Look here. That's what's going to come. Okay? We should get a rally, and this will be either a short entry for you or an add-on opportunity. Okay? And then the target after that, 144, all the way down here. Down here. So it's short, down into the zone. Bingo. Okay? Nice, nice. That's one of the best trades this week. Oh, yeah. Awesome. So short out of 147.26, not even a lot. It's just like 5 or 6 ticks worth of risk over there. $150 is what it is. Yeah, about 150, 160 bucks. Contract. Gorgeous short. Really pretty. Okay? So that's the level, and that's the entry. Perfect. All right, that's going to be today's wrap-up webinar. We'll have a webinar on Wednesday. And, feel free to email me or whatever. Send me a Skype if you have any questions about anything from this webinar. All the best. Trade safe, trade smart. See you guys later. Bye.